everyone and welcome back to the channel. I'm Kirsty and this is Stuck in the Mud. As ever, if you're finding my videos helpful, please remember to like them and also subscribe if you haven't already. In today's video, I'm talking about what you can do next time you get an intrusive thought. And this is something that has really helped me on my healing journey with OCD and anxiety and get me to the place I am now, which is in a much better position than I was all throughout my life when I've struggled with OCD. And it's not always been the easiest process to get where I am now, but this is really what I have found that actually does work and will actually make you see OCD in a different light. And the thing you need to remember is when you get an intrusive thought, we're in a state of emergency. We're on it straight away. We're very aware that this horrible intrusive thought, unwanted intrusive thought, has appeared in our mind and we latch onto it. As an OCD sufferer, we just kind of latch onto them really quickly. As soon as that appears, we're like, no. You're just like, I want this gone out of my mind. We're very quick to jump on it and try and figure everything out. And this is what I want you to do differently next time. So you get an intrusive thought and you become aware of it. I want you to let that thought be there. You're not going to latch onto it. You're not going to try and analyze it and try and work it out. You're not going to ruminate over it for any amount of time, whether that be minutes, hours, days. You're just going to let that coexist with you. And this just sounds the most simplest thing ever, and you're thinking, well, if it's that simple, why haven't I done it already? And the thing is, what we don't realize as OCD sufferers is that the amount of times we kind of latch onto thoughts when we think we're helping ourselves. We think by trying to figure it out, we will get to some kind of conclusion and certainty that sadly never arises, because with OCD, these intrusive thoughts that start out as just like one intrusive thought, they'll just grow bigger and bigger and will kind of latch onto other things, and it'll just make it all seem so much more unmanageable than it was initially, because what happens is we add on to them and they just grow in power and they get stronger and they overwhelm us because we can't come to any kind of certainty, because our mind realizes this is important because we're involving ourselves with it, and it keeps it there, it keeps it stuck, and if anything, it just grows bigger. And like I say, you become so wrapped up in it that it's just too big to kind of handle, and we think we're doing ourselves a favor by doing all of this, when in fact it's just making it actually a lot worse. So by letting the thought be there and not interacting with it, so we're having as little involvement with it as possible, we're letting the thought be there, we're not pushing it away, we're not trying to distract ourselves, we're just letting it reside with us. We're aware of it being there, but we're not adding on to it in any other way. We're not trying to figure anything out. We're not trying to come to some level of conclusion about it. We're just letting it be there. We're not going to analyze it anymore. And that's going to feel weird at first. It's going to feel strange. It's going to feel out of our comfort zone, because what we think we're doing to get comfort by doing all of this stuff and involving ourselves with these thoughts is just OCD trying to make us involved with it and latch onto it and get us hooked into it and get us involved. It wants our attention, OCD, and it will just fire all these thoughts off in your head. Well, if you do this, it'll feel better. If you do this ritual, it will feel better. It wants you to do these compulsions, whether that be a physical ritual or a mental ritual like rumination, because that is in fact a compulsion. So you'll find yourselves just being pulled all the time to do something about this intrusive thought. But we're going to do something differently this time, and this is what has helped me. We let it be there. When you get the pull, the urge to kind of do something about that thought, whether it be, like I say, a ritual or to figure that thought out, try and kind of examine it and pull it apart. We overanalyze everything, and it doesn't help the situation. It just makes it get more in depth and more, confusing. You end up in a state of confusion because, you just don't feel, at any level of peace about this particular intrusive thought, whatever it may be. It could be in any particular kind of subtype of OCD, and, it can be abhorrent, quite violent, or, sexual in nature, or anything. It could be anything. And it's so against who we are as people when we get these intrusive thoughts with OCD. It goes completely against who we are at our core, as individuals. This is not who we are. And OCD knows that, and it will try and grab your attention and make you question everything about yourself. That is how OCD works. And it doesn't like to give up easily. It will try and pull you in any way it can. So we just have to remember that and be aware of that when you start getting those other questions arising in the mind, when you're aware of it, like, okay, I know you're there, and just be really flippant and really passive with those intrusive thoughts. So when they crop up, like, oh, okay, I know you're OCD and I know you're trying to trick me and get me hooked into this. Not going to happen today. Then move on with your day. Move forward. We're not distracting ourselves. We're just moving forward, knowing that thought's still there in our mind. That's going to feel really unnatural for an OCD sufferer because it's not what we normally do with these thoughts. We normally want that conclusion. We want it to end. We want it to stop. But by doing all those things, by doing those things with these thoughts, we're just making it all worse and bigger and stronger. And it actually is not helping the situation. And this is why I thought I'd do this video today, to just like really get to the grips of it. Just really get in there in what we need to do with these intrusive thoughts, because we're approaching it all the wrong way. And this is what's actually making our OCD and anxiety worse, because when you get these thoughts, you get all these horrible anxious feelings throughout the body. You feel guilt, you feel ashamed of these thoughts maybe, and any other kind of emotions that come along with it. If I get particular nasty intrusive thought, I can feel quite anxious. I get that feeling and sensation in my body. I can feel it in the pit of my stomach, but I approach it all differently now. So the sensations, the feelings, we let them be there. We're not trying to get rid of anything. We're not trying to get rid of the thought, the feeling, or the sensation. So, like I said, it's not going to feel comfortable at first because we're building a tolerance to it. And this is what I have found now. I will get intrusive thoughts, as everybody gets intrusive thoughts. Even if you don't have OCD, people still get intrusive thoughts, but they don't, they've got a different circuit in their brain. They can just discard it really quickly and rationalize it as just a weird, just random thought. Whereas OCD sufferers, we can't do that. There's just something missing there, the kind of rational link that that people without OCD have. We just latch onto it, and this is what has really helped me and get me to a place of healing now. So you let the thoughts be there, you let the feelings be there, you let those sensations in the body, and you move forward with your day. And let me tell you, this takes practice. You're going to feel like you're repeating yourself a lot. You're going to be like, okay, here's another intrusive thought. You may get them quite thick and fast at first, because OCD is, just think of it, throwing a temper tantrum over here, thinking, why are you not answering my intrusive thoughts? Why are you not taking notice of me? OCD is going to have a little hissy fit over here. But you can do that. You let it do it, and you just move forward with your day. Like I said, it's going to feel unnatural. It's going to feel weird and uncomfortable to let those feelings and sensations just be there. But what you will notice, and this is the amazing thing about this, when we do this, when we let the thoughts be there, we have as least involvement with them as possible. You're going to be aware of it hanging around, and it can hang around as long as it wants. But the amazing thing is that thought, that intrusive thought, will fade away. And then you'll notice the feelings and all the sensations in the body will fade away. And that is the beautiful thing about this kind of therapy, and it is metacognitive therapy, detached mindfulness. You'll notice that those thoughts just dissolve on their own, because that is what we're doing with our brain. We're almost retraining it to realize that these are just thoughts that can be discarded and they don't need our attention. And this is what this therapy is amazing for, because this is OCD. These are unwanted thoughts. We don't have any enjoyment with these thoughts, and all these rituals that we feel like we have to perform. There's nothing fun about this. We're not enjoying it. This isn't, this is all unwanted. But it's what we do with all this stuff that counts. And this really does work, because as a lifelong sufferer of OCD and anxiety, this is what has actually got me back functioning, back living my life fully and not letting OCD just control me anymore. And this is what I would like for you guys at home. So just remember, you let the thought be there. It's coexisting with you. You're not getting involved with it. It's not, if it pulls you in, that's fine. And just always remember, be kind with yourself when you're doing this. If it pulls you in, that's okay. Just think of every time that next intrusive thought pops in, whatever it, it's going to be, try and pull you in all different directions. Just let the thought be there. Be kind with yourself. Like, yeah, I know you're trying to get my attention, but no, not today. As passive as possible, as least involvement as possible. And a magical thing will happen. You will notice these thoughts probably popping in less, because our brain is realizing that this is just a stupid thought. And I will notice throughout the day, I will get intrusive thoughts that kind of grab my attention a little bit. And I will be like, okay, I know you're there. And the amazing thing is they just fade away. I can be triggered by anything, reading something online, and I'll think, I'll get that initial thought of, oh no, this is going to be stuck in my head all day now. I'm not going to be able to think of anything else. That's just OCD trying to wrap me up in it, because the more I involve myself with it, the more it's thinking, this is important, this needs my attention, and you'll get more and more intrusive thoughts. But if I can just think, right, okay, that's triggered me, I'll let that be there and move forward, go and do something else. It's still there, that's fine, we're not trying to push it away, but we move forward with our day. And it's just sending the message to our brain that this doesn't need our attention, and it will fade on its own. It might take a bit of time, and you might be still aware of it, and that's fine if you're still aware of it. But you will notice that they will fade on their own, and then you'll get probably to the end of your day and think, oh wow, that thought that kind of grabbed me earlier, it went. And the more we practice this and the more consistent we are with it, the easier it gets. And you will notice that you probably don't get as many intrusive thoughts anymore, because, like I said, our brain is realizing all of this now. It's like, oh, okay, you're not in that state of emergency now when you get them. And you'll build a tolerance, and our brain does that. Our brain self-regulates and realizes that this just isn't important. And that's the beautiful thing about this therapy, and why it's so helpful it could be so helpful to many people out there. And I don't really understand why it doesn't get the time, spoken about it. And I think people are very aware of CBT and exposure and response prevention, which definitely have their places. I'm not saying they don't, but especially in terms of OCD, this has been really helpful. And along with exposure and response prevention, because eventually you'll find that, like I said, I'll be reading an article and I will get triggered. You can do that intentionally. You can intentionally trigger yourself. And that's what exposure and response prevention is about, but we're not responding in the same way. With this therapy, we're changing our relationship with our thoughts and our feelings and our sensations in the body. Otherwise, we're just in this constant state of emergency, trying to figure everything out, trying to analyze everything, trying to, just ruminating on it for hours, days, months on end even. That's how I've been in the past. I've just had intrusive thoughts that lasted forever, it felt like. And it's just making my life so much smaller and limited. Whereas this has opened everything up again and enabled me to live a fuller life, a life that we all deserve to live. So I really hope this video has been helpful to you, just really getting into the crux of everything, of how it works and how you can move forward with your OCD and anxiety healing journey and getting back to a place of functioning and a place where you can respond to your thoughts differently. So let me know in the comments if this video has helped you today. I really hope it has, and I will see you in the next video. Thanks for watching.